This is Mike with Montshire at Home. Today we're going to talk about how do we add lights into our gingerbread creations. The basics of it are we need to make a circuit, and we're going to have three components for that. We're going to have our battery, we're going to have our light. In this case we'll be using LEDs or light emitting diodes, and so we can turn them on and off. We're also going to need to build a switch into our circuit. Now, the most important thing about that circuit is that it's going to be able to provide current from the battery out to whatever load, the light that we're using, and then be able to get back to that battery. If it's broken anywhere along the way, it's going to not light up. The switch will break the circuit for us, so we can turn it on and off, but we want to make sure all those other connections are nice and secure. So what are we going to need? We like to use LED lights, and you're going to find these in a variety of sizes and colors and effects. Some will flicker, some will change color. For the basics for our LEDs is when you get one, you're going to notice that usually one of the wires coming down is a little bit longer than the other. The longer one is going to be our positive connection, and the shorter one, the negative in that case. So when I put those onto a battery, talk a little bit about the batteries to use too. I have a coin battery right here. I want to make sure the positive, in this case the positive is one side, negative the other, is on that longer wire. If the thing with LEDs, if I had it the wrong way, it's not going to light up. They're only one direction. So 90% of the time, if you're putting something together, you're sure it's all hooked up, just try switching that battery around. Most likely it's just connected the wrong way to get those lit up. So we have our LEDs and our battery. The LED wires are essentially just like other wires themselves, and we might have to extend those out, especially if we're going to build a switch into our circuit here too. So a couple things we might have for wires. We might just have some wires like we're using. We use a variety of what we call alligator clip. They have that little part on the end where it's very easy to squeeze and grab onto other components and hook things together. Sometimes I like to use this as just conductive tape, so it's got a sticky back, and you can just put that along wherever you need your pathway to go, and it'll just like tape, it'll stick right to all the components that you need. There is a very simple way for making some of that too. It's to have some our aluminum foil. I may even get a little bit of a cardboard chipboard here, and if I put some glue onto that end and put it onto with my aluminum foil onto there, I can then even cut out strips of that or to attach things right onto there, and that will conduct the electricity along in my circuit. So a variety of different ways to make some wires and put them together. One note, if you've completed your gingerbread, it might be a little bit too late to put the lights in. Like a lot of the planning for it, these are things you're going to want to make accommodations for before everything goes together, whether it's putting a light in a window, out a chimney, a light hanging by a door. I may have to attach those in, have the wires in place before I put everything together. The easiest way, if we have one sticking out of our door, is just to make a hole. We can just drill safely through that. Now, of course, anytime you're drilling, make sure you have a surface. Here's a big chunk of wood I use for drilling. That way I won't make any more holes in kitchen tables and things. So if I want that hole there for my light to come through, make and plan that ahead of time. Our LED lights, those wires, they're pretty bendable, so I can change those around as I decide, as I have to make my connections for attaching the wires and things onto my LED. One other note, a good source of LEDs can be from old strands of holiday lights. Anyway, you can pop these out and they're gonna work the same way as our other LEDs here. So if I hook, so I've pulled one of those just right out of its holder. Same thing, if I hook, they have two wires now sticking out of their plastic casing, one on each side, and those, once I make the connection and figure out which one goes to where, I'm going to be able to get those to light up. Again, if I tried connecting with the other side of that battery, I am not going to. So always just make sure you test it both ways to ensure that you do have a working bulb before you start to work with it. Not only do we have lots of lights from there too, but this then can become a great source of wires for building with. There are usually 3 strands within our holiday lights here, and if I'm using these, I can just cut out some of those wires if I'm not planning to use those lights anymore. And now I have those to help with my wiring of any of my LEDs. Some of these you might need to carefully strip the plastic coating away from the wire, the metal wire on the inside. I can use these. You might have a tool, a wire stripper actually made for doing this. But as long as I don't cut all the way through, I can expose that wire off of the end. So I have some lights. If you don't from Holiday Strings, you can get these from old toys, old circuit boards, and you can also just order them for a couple pennies for a few of those. So find our LEDs, whatever wire source we're going to have. Again, we're going to be using some coin batteries here. Other batteries are just not, you're going to need a resistor if you want to use these along with our LEDs to get those to light. And then some sort of switch, some sort of way to turn it on and off. Again, I've oversized this one here, but the engineering aspect for yours will be how can you configure it so you have it as part of your scene, whether it's part of the house or hidden in some of the decorations out front, so it's easy to turn on and off. Otherwise, you'll be going through batteries pretty quickly. For this switch, essentially a switch is a wire that just allows you to stop, to break that circuit. So I just took my aluminum foil covered piece of cardboard here, just made a little stand for this one, cut notches off of the ends and put some foil on this side and put some foil on this side. So when that switch goes down, it's going to connect between the two. So if I had my wires hooked up, maybe one then on this end of the switch, and another, make sure it's connecting, touching the foil, and another connecting to the foil off of this side of the switch. As soon as I push that down, now I'm going to be able to move that current all the way through. So good luck, have fun. Remember, test that LED, make sure that battery is facing the same way, and also remember to plan ahead. Have a good idea. You'll probably have to do that wiring before you take your pieces and start frosting them together. But thanks and enjoy